Tope, a husband and father of two, had always been dissatisfied with his life, despite his wife Titi's unwavering support and encouragement. He constantly complained about his job, finances, food, and nearly every aspect of his life. Tope would often say to Titi, "I'm meant for greater things. I don't understand what's going on with my life. Ever since I got married to you, life has become completely unfair to me. In my bachelor days, I was doing far better, working for a better company, receiving a better salary, and eating whatever I wanted." Tope's discontentment grew stronger, and he began to see himself as a victim, convinced that he was being held back by his family, particularly his wife. He thought, "It's time I did something about my life before it gets worse. This woman I call my wife is bringing bad luck to me. Enough is enough. I don't know how I ended up marrying someone like her." Tope thought this as he ironed his clothes, still contemplating how to escape his family responsibilities. Just then, his phone rang. He picked up, and it was his wife, Titi. "Hello, babe. Please forward your CV to the contact I'll send you now. God has finally answered our prayers." Tope responded, "Really? God has answered what?" Titi replied, "Our prayer, of course. Please do as instructed immediately and wait for the rest of the good news this evening when I return home." Tope's plan to escape his family was put on hold after receiving the miraculous call. Luckily, he secured the job through his wife's help, and it changed their family's life completely. The job was the most lucrative one Tope had ever had since graduating from university. He was given an official car and allowances to take care of his family's concerns without stress. However, instead of being grateful to his wife, Tope started to distance himself from her and their two children. He cared less about their well-being and spent more time outside the family circle. That's when Thomas, Tope's colleague, introduced him to Cynthia at a bar one evening. Cynthia was a charming and inviting young lady who flattered Tope's ego and fed his insecurity. She was a successful businesswoman with a lavish lifestyle, and Tope was captivated by her promises of a more exciting life. Tope soon abandoned his family to pursue Cynthia, who showered him with expensive gifts and vacations. But despite their lavish lifestyle, Tope never had sex with Cynthia. Meanwhile, Titi struggled to raise their children alone, working tirelessly to provide for them. She was heartbroken, barely seeing her husband, and his phone was unreachable. He had warned her never to visit him at work. Titi could no longer afford their apartment, so she moved to her sister's place with their children. Her sister was a single lady, barely home due to her job. Tope kept lavishing his salary and savings on Cynthia, ignoring his children and stopping child support. Titi asked their pastor, "What have I done to deserve this? Why has he chosen to reward me with abandonment?" The pastor replied, "This is a spiritual battle. The devil is at work and we must pray to destroy his plans. Forgiveness is key. Lack of forgiveness breeds bitterness." Titi had always been a devoted and prayerful Christian, but the pastor encouraged her to continue praying and forgiving. Titi, due to the immense stress she had to endure alone, became severely ill. The sickness lingered longer than expected, and she was hospitalized for over 6 months. Her children had to stay in a mission house, as their father, despite knowing about her illness, refused to visit or care for her. The most devastating part was that after her recovery, she couldn't return to her previous job because another staff member had been hired to replace her during her absence. With a heavy heart, Titi had to start anew. She began a full-time job frying akara in the morning and taking on various menial jobs, such as sweeping and cleaning offices, to provide for her family and keep food on the table. Meanwhile, Cynthia and Tope were now living together as a couple, but not officially. One Sunday morning, Tope woke up to the sweet aroma of pancakes coming from the kitchen. As he entered, he saw Cynthia dressed in transparent, silky lingerie, sweaty, and making pancakes. He became aroused and wanted more of her. As he watched football, Cynthia handed him the pancakes she had made and sat down next to him. But as he sat in the chair, his head suddenly spun and his palms started tingling like he was hallucinating. He tried shaking his head to get control of himself. "Oh, I think it's working already, Cynthia said, smiling at Tope, who looked confused. What do you mean by it's working? Did you drug me? Tope asked, realizing what had happened. Cynthia replied, You're a smart man, Tope. I think you should have figured that out already. Soon the hallucinations stopped, but Tope's heart started racing fast, and his body became super excited. Cynthia got up and walked towards Tope, sitting on his lap and rubbing herself on his body. Tope tried to remain conscious, but he couldn't, and before he knew it, he had a sexual affair with Cynthia. During the affair, he hallucinated, seeing snakes, tongues, and scales, but he didn't understand, as he wasn't conscious and not himself. The next morning, he woke up, vaguely remembering what had happened the night before. He quickly jumped out of bed, filled with guilt, thinking, What have I done to myself? He remembered the prophecy he was given after getting his job, warning him that an unknown woman would bring him down and might lead to his doom if he wasn't faithful to his wife. Suddenly, he felt a strange movement in his underwear, and as he pulled down his trousers to check, a black snake emerged from his legs, staring at him. He screamed, panicking, and discovered his manhood had transformed into a long black snake. The snake transformed back to his manhood, leaving him with a pounding heart and fear. He ran to the room, but Cynthia was gone, leaving a note saying, I'm off to church, hubby. Tope shouted, Who have I slept with? Want to hear the rest of the story? Comment, like, and share this video to encourage me to continue. The most thrilling part is yet to come in,